Hi, I'm Pete, and this is a tutorial on how to take the new 2-circle and 4-circle Crazy 3x3 Plus cubes from MF8 and turn them into the Crazy2face kit. Now, a little background here. The Crazy2face kit is an idea by rline of the Twisty Puzzle forum. He also has a YouTube channel, Twisty Puzzling, and basically what rline brought to us is an idea about a new face type on the Crazy 3x3 series. The original series had 8 planets and 2 face types: the 0 face, which stays fixed when you turn the outer edges, and the 1 face, which moves when you move the outer edges. So from that we could make 8 crazy planets, and this was a fun series of puzzles. What rline brought to us was, in addition to those face types, a 3rd face type called the 2 face, and it's just a solid face that interacts with the rest of the puzzle in interesting ways. So for example, if I turn this up, these circle pieces can turn, but if I turn this down, the circle pieces can't turn. It adds a whole new dimension and a whole multitude of additional puzzles that we can make with this additional face type. And the thing about it is that this puzzle only has 1 2-face, but it could have 2 2-faces. It could have 3 or 4 2-faces on it. Really, there's no limit. And it greatly expands the number of puzzles we can make from a Crazy 3x3. Now, the thing about this 2-face is that in order to make it, when I made my kit, I had to take 2 of these Crazy 3x3 puzzles and fuse the circle pieces, the inner circle pieces, to their outer portions, fill it with epoxy clay, glue things together, and sand it and paint it. And so I made this kit. It took quite a bit of time. I'm very happy with it and very proud of it, but that's a lot of work, and it takes, you need to have some materials and be willing to sand and do all sorts of stuff. So for a while on the forum, member Burgo was offering kits, Crazy2face kits, and as of this videotaping, we don't have videotape anymore. As of this recording, Burgo is still offering the kits, but Burgo has brought us a whole huge expansion of the Crazy2face kit. He took rline's idea and he didn't just run with it. I think he sprinted with it. So Burgo came up with additional face types and additional bandaging. So not just the 2-face, but additional face types, which you'll have to go on Twisty Puzzle Forum. The links are in the description to see that, and additional bandaging of the pieces. It's quite an impressive kit. So if you want to get the full kit, and you don't want to have to fool around with disassembling these puzzles and making your own, I suggest that you contact Burgo and see if he can make a kit for you. Okay, well, having said all that, you might just want to give the Crazy2face world a try, and maybe you're not really sure and you just want to have the basic kit, and that's what this is all about. MF8 and DaYan, it looks like they rather hastily made 2 puzzles. They've released 2 puzzles. This is the 2-circle Crazy 3x3, and this is the 4-circle Crazy 3x3. And these puzzles this one has 4 2-faces on it. This one has 2 2-faces on it. And but with these 2 puzzles, you can make this entire kit. The entire kit consists of enough pieces to make every possible permutation of a 2-face puzzle. So there are enough pieces to be able to have as many 2-faces as you want, or as many circle faces as you want. In fact, you could make all of the crazy planets as well, and there'd be no 2-faces on there. So it's a very versatile kit. in order to make this kit out of these two puzzles, you need very little in the way of materials, tools. You just need a Phillips screwdriver and a hobby knife, and really that's it. Possibly a little bit of silicone lubricant there to get everything turning nicely. Now, when we come back, I'm going to show the Crazy2face kit laid out so that you get an idea of where we're going with this. So what we have here is the entire Crazy2face kit laid out. This is the Crazy Two-Face puzzle. This one is set up in the Neptune configuration. There's one Crazy Two-Face, and then the rest of them are circle faces. So that means that what's left in my kit are mostly two faces. Those are the solid edges and solid corners. And because I've used the yellow is the Crazy Two-Face, that means I actually have a yellow circle face, which is right here, the circle edges with their inners and the circle corners with their little inner circle pieces. Now, you may notice that these pieces are split. The corners come in three pieces because corner piece has three faces on it. And this is kind of the cool thing that came out of the discussion about the Crazy Two-Face kits, was that they could be made by splitting apart the pieces. So for example, the white right here, this white corner can be attached to any other corner piece, and it's a very, very versatile system. The other part of the kit are these centers. Now I have a few more centers than you would have. Basically you're going to have a total of 12 centers, 6 of which will be used. And I have a few extras just because I happen to have an extra core for some reason. But that's the kit, and that's pretty much what you're going to end up with. The difference is that in order to make these pieces, I had to actually splice together an outer sort of an outer half edge and then the inner circle part, and paint it and sand it. And it was quite a bit of work. It's fun, but it's not for everybody, and it certainly takes a lot more than the maybe the hour or so that this will take you if you go ahead and make the kit. We're back and ready to start making the Crazy2face kit. Now, before I get too much further, I had a little bit of a glitch here, and I'm just going to show it. Possibly by the time you get yours, this may have been resolved. But basically, the two sets of stickers I received, they're all circle stickers. They're all for circle faces, which isn't going to work for our flat faces. There'll be a big ugly circle in the middle of it, and really that's what we're trying to avoid. Both sets of stickers are the same. So basically, I received two sets of stickers for the Crazy 3x3s instead of these new puzzles. So I'm not sure exactly how that happened, but it's not really a big deal. I would like to think that most of us have a spare 3x3 sticker set lying around. I found these DaYan+MF8 stickers, and they're the right size. They're about 14 or 15 millimeters, somewhere around there. So I'll be able to use these for the faces. You only need the 6 colors if you're going to make the Crazy2face kit. Now, what we're going to do here is sticker each puzzle in with 6 colors in a complementary way. So I'm going to take the puzzle with the 2 circles, and this will be yellow, that'll be white, and then we'll go green, and just do the standard Rubik's color scheme. And over here, I'm putting the one with the two faces, the flat faces. I'm going to put those on the top. So that'll be yellow, that will be white, and then again this will be the standard Rubik's color scheme. So the idea then is that we're going to have one yellow circle face and one yellow two face and one green two-phase M1 green circle face. And that's the first step. And we're going to do that before we take anything apart and before we do any adjustments. And it's just easier to sticker everything while they're assembled. So as a sort of a preliminary for the stickering, I just wipe the surface of the puzzles down with a rag or a t-shirt or something like that, just to get any oil off of the surface. So I'm just finishing up the sticker prep, and the last step is to pull this inner back scrap in, and it does tend to take the little pointy corners with it, so you sort of have to hold them down. And if one does come with it, then it's fine. You can just pull it off the scrap and stick it back down some way. Sometimes the stickers will also rip, and I did rip one just if it's attached a little too much, but there's plenty of spares on here, so we don't have to worry about it. Now I fully prepped one of each half. I didn't take the inner part of some of them, you know, just because it's kind of tedious and it's unnecessary. As long as I have one set of stickers, it's fully prepped, I will be fine. So there you go. Those are my circle stickers all ready to go. There's no prep at all to do with the 2x2 stickers. Now these puzzles do come with a backing sheet, but these sticker sets, but I don't use them. I just don't find them all that accurate for putting on, especially such a puzzle with so many different pieces here. So what I do now with this is I just start putting them on. Now I have to take my glasses off for this. And sort of a bit of a paradox, isn't it, that we have to take our glasses off to be able to see up close. And I'll take a sticker off. I put it on the point of my utility knife and just line it all up and stick it on there. Okay, there we go. Now these stickers are fairly thin, I can tell that, but I think that they will be serviceable, and they'll be fine. But yeah, the CubeSmith ones I think are the sort of the gold standard for this sort of thing. Okay, so that's what I'm going to do here. Just going to put all these stickers on. And yeah, that's it. Whoop. Yeah, got to be careful with that. So this is the two circle face puzzle, all nicely stickered, but really this is just the means to an end. We're going to end up taking this all apart. Factory stickers, yeah, looking a little thin. The DaYan stickers were a little better, the Panchy stickers, but maybe they'll be alright. So the next step then is to sticker the other puzzle, but to make sure that we have a solid face on top and on bottom, and that we have the circle faces around the sides to complement the solid faces that we've already stickered. Okay, so I'm going to get started doing that, and when I come back I'll have both puzzles stickered, and then that's the end of the hard part. Everything else is very easy after that. Now I have both puzzles stickered, and I have the four circle face puzzle stickered, and along with the two circle face puzzle stickered, and you'll see now that we have two of each color, a solid and a circle, and that's exactly what I was looking for. The next step then is to take these puzzles apart, and we'll also do some internal cleanup and to make the puzzles work a little better, and then we will be ready to make our first crazy two-faced puzzle. Okay, so I'm gonna just take these apart, and just like any regular DaYan puzzles, they do the centers just come right out. They'll be a little tight the first time you take them apart. And there you go. Now, one just minor issue about using two different sticker sets, the color match between the centers won't be perfect. On my, it's actually not so bad. On mine, because I use the CubeSmith stickers for both the circle and the solid faces, the color match is perfect, and so I only need 6 centers. I don't actually need additional centers, but in this case you might want to keep them. Okay. Keep an extra, like 2 white centers, or 2 red centers, the red matching the solid face and the red matching the circle face. Okay, I have that, and now I'm just gonna start taking it apart. I'm just gonna take everything apart. So you'll find screws and springs in here, so you don't want those to go very far. There will be a few leftover parts. Okay, so there's your center. There's a spring and a washer on there, so you just want to put that aside. Make sure that's going to be okay. There we go. You'll see that there are 2 different types of centers here, and this is an important part of the kit, that you have these here, let me show you what you get for the centers. So there are the 2 types of centers you get. You get the short one, which gives you your 1 face, and the long one, which gives you your 0 face. So that's important to remember. And you're going to have a bunch of these, so you can just set them aside. You can take one core completely apart and take out all the springs and washers and stuff. And you don't have to take the other core completely apart. But, oops. Oh, I just lost the washer in there. These screws are looking, it's kind of rusty on the tips of them. They must have been sitting around in a damp place. Okay. So there you go, all screws, all our centers. You're going to have 1 ball core left over. You can just set that aside. You only need the 1. Okay, and we'll just do the same thing to the other one. Now this total disassembly is only for the initial kit, just to make the kit the first time. After you assemble your first Crazy2face puzzle with the parts, then really all you'll be doing is changing out, whatever your current setup is. So it doesn't usually require complete and total disassembly like this. It's a one-time adventure here. Okay, and it's a little easier to see where the centers come apart now. Okay, and I'm just going to recommend that you just take these this core apart as well, so it'll just give you a chance to lubricate everything and just to set it up for the very first time. Okay, just make sure that every time you do it that you get the little washer as well. You'll end up with an extra set of screws and an extra core, which is always useful and handy to have. Okay, there we go. And we'll need that core, so I'll just set it aside there. So I have a container now for all of the pieces of my kit, and what we have here is a bigger pile than what I had before, partially because the pieces are still together, and then partially because we haven't made the one puzzle, right? So it'll be half the size by the time we're done. Now, in order to make sure that your puzzle works as good as possible, what I'd like to encourage you to do is inspect these little. These are the little inner circle pieces, and this one's a good one. If you look at the tip of it, you see that they've cut off the sprue, which is a little plastic tab that sticks out. But on this one, you'll see that there's a little bit, instead of cutting it off, it's just kind of folded under a little bit. Right, and you see there's the plastic sprue that's sticking out. Somewhere in the manufacturing process, I think they must put this against a grinder or something, and they don't always get cut off. So what I would encourage you to do is cut off this sprue with your hobby knife. Now this takes a little bit of work, but it's well worth it because it makes your puzzle turn so much better because it won't be snaggy on this. So all you do is just put it down very carefully and just cut off the sprue with your knife. Okay, and you can see a little, and then it's all nice, and it doesn't have to be super smooth, but it just, if the sprue is not there, it'll be good. So if you go through all of these little circle pieces and just make sure that the sprues are off. This is much better than the one I had. So far I've only found one. One of them I had, just about every single one of these had a sprue on it, and it turned horribly until I fixed that, and then it turned quite nicely. Okay, so this one, I'm just going to put aside the ones that need to be adjusted. Okay, so, and it doesn't really matter how much, like you can chop quite a bit in the front here, it's just that the sprue can't be there, so otherwise it'll snag on stuff. Yeah, I think there's probably something like 24 of these, I guess. Okay, yeah, this one's really bad. You can see it's right under there. Alright, well, I think I got all those. Now, there was one other place where there were these sprues, and that was on the tail of these little inner circle pieces, right in there, and you'll see that this one is ground. There's a little notch in there, and that's fine, right? But some of them, instead of having a notch there, the sprue sticks out just enough to cause it to snag. So what I would encourage you to do is just go and cut a little, that notch just a little deeper to take the sprue out. This one has a little piece of sprue in there, and again, there are probably 24 of these, and this one seems to be pretty good. Yeah, most of them are good, but again, I had one that was almost all of them had these enormous pieces of sprue sticking out. This one's in really good, really good for that. So, which probably is why it turned reasonably well. Okay, I'm just going to take that one out. Okay, and again, it doesn't matter how much of that. You just want to cut a little notch in there. Just cut the sprue off. It's not really a sliding surface. The problem is that the sprue sticks out, and it does interfere with the sliding. So. Okay, I think I got all of those. Alright, that's it for the tune-up part. Oh, I have one more. Almost escaped. Now, the next step then is to separate the corner and edge pieces. So the edge piece, you're going to have two halves of the edge, and all you need to do is just pull it apart. Now these ones weren't squeezed together all that hard anyway, so that's all you have to do. Okay. The corner piece is made of 3 pieces, and so you just have to pull it apart at the base and there are 3 pieces. Now if it's squeezed really tight, you can carefully take your utility blade and just lay it along a seam. Don't put it down, don't put your fingers behind it, and just kind of wiggle it and it'll come apart. Okay, so you're going to break the corners into 3 separate pieces. Okay. So the edge into 2 pieces, and the corner into 3 pieces. And just go ahead and do that for all of your pieces. So I have all my Crazy2face parts here, and my center pieces. They control the 0 and 1 circle faces, and the 2 face, and then my center caps. Now the final step here is to make your first Crazy2face puzzle, and then from there on you'll just use the parts and you'll just change a face or 2 at a time, usually, unless you're gonna like do something radically different. So I would encourage you to go on the Crazy2face thread that's listed in the description on the Twisty Puzzle forum. Now the configuration that's probably the easiest is Jupiter. So I'm going to go ahead and make the Jupiter. And Jupiter then has a 1 yellow solid face, and it has a red 0 face, and then all the rest of the faces are 1 faces, meaning the circles turn with the face. So there we go. Okay, that's my 0 face, and I will also need a I think it's a short one for the 2 face as well. Okay, I think that works. So I'm gonna have to now go through here and get enough parts. So my red, everything has to be circles except for the yellow. So that's a circle orange corner, so I need that. We don't need the solid. So I'm basically looking for circle parts. And yeah, there we go. So I have a pile of parts here which are mostly circle parts except for the yellow, which is solid. And the reason is that the Crazy2face puzzle we chose for the first one is one of the easier ones, and it is Jupiter. So Jupiter has all circle faces except the yellow, and it has the only 0 face is the white. The rest of the faces are 1 faces. So we have 5 short centers, and those are for the 1 faces, and then this will have to be the white. Okay, so we might as well go ahead now and start assembling this. Now you can get the schematics and all the help you want for this configuration from the Twisty Puzzle forum, and they're very helpful there. There's a solving thread which I've linked in the description, and there's all sorts of discussion threads, and someone will help you out there. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to set it up. I'm going to put this here as the white. I put a little bit of lube on the springs here. I really don't like spring noise, and that's just sort of another one-time deal, because once you put that on there you probably don't have to worry about it too much. So we're going to call that the white face then, and then the rest of these will be and that's our 0 face, and then the rest of these will be 1 faces that turn with the, including the solid face. The solid face has to be a 1 face. Alright, so I'm picking the best looking screws here, not the rusty looking ones. So I'm just putting a little lube just on the spring itself. It doesn't require a lot of lube, just quiets the spring down. So I'm just going to put these on fairly loosely. It'll make assembling it easier, and then we can tighten it down. I found that they tend to work best fairly tight, but there's a bit of a break-in period, so you might want to just kind of keep them looser until they broke in. Okay, well that's all rusty. Oh well, I think it'll be all right. Okay, so this is a one-time deal. Once you have this core reassembled the first time, as we're doing here, then really you won't need to do a full reassembly again. You'll just take various faces off, you know, because you don't change them all that often. It's surprising, but for example, the Crazy Planets, I think the 8 Crazy Planets all have this same setup, and all you do is change the centers. So you take the cap off, take this center out, change it for a different one, and then you put it all back together again. So you can actually spend months with this puzzle without having to pull the pieces apart again. So it's just such a great idea, and you know, it'd be nice to see other puzzles like that, sort of mix and match. You know, we have the Cube Twist 3x3 bandaging kit, which is really nice. Be really you know, awesome to see it come out with a 4x4, 5x5, and or other puzzles. So that's a bandaging kit. There are these crazy Bermuda minxes that are coming out now, which we're not sure if we can do this sort of thing with them, but that would be kind of nice too, because you know, there's 8 of them, and the whole set costs, you know, quite a bit of money. Alright, so those are good, and now I don't think we're having spring noise. This one doesn't turn, so that's the white one. This, because the white one, the 0 faces, the center stays in place as we turn the outer edge. So that's so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to get all the pieces that I need and put them together correctly. So keeping in mind that what we're making here is a regular Rubik's Cube standard 3x3 color scheme. So I'm gonna need 4 of these corner pieces and 4 of the edges, and I'm gonna need them all. So you know, it doesn't hurt to just kind of group them together, you know, as you find them. Okay, and okay, so I have that, and then I have my 4 edges now. Yeah, so I just might as well go ahead and put everything, all the related, all the sort them into color groups here. So we take a regular cube here. We have our white, and so the white goes with orange. Here, so I'm going to take one white edge, one orange edge, and just snap them together. There you go. And of course, there's an edge that goes with the blue as well. So we'll just snap those together and squeeze them together fairly tight. You know, it'll help the puzzle work a little better. Okay, so those are my edges. So now I need a white and red. Okay. And I'll need a white and green. So my white, my green, there you go. And okay, and now I'll need, I want these middle edges, so I need an orange and green. There's my orange and green. I think I already did the green and orange. Yeah. So now on the top, and this is where we need to be careful, because on the top I have green, which is a circle on the side, but the yellow is one of these solid pieces. So this is what the solid piece looks like, and we just snap it together. There you go. And we'll do that for all the colors with yellow, so all the edges. Okay, so I have all the edges made, and now it's time to start making the corners. And basically it's the same idea. I have the white, red, green. So I have white, red. I'm gonna have to make sure we get these in the right order. And then green. So no problem. And those are all circle corners. So just make sure it's all lined up nicely. Okay, in this case it's not. The blades kind of interleave in the inside. And squeeze these together good and tight, because it'll help your puzzle work a little better. They tend to come from the factory, not squeezed together all that well. So that's one. And then the next one's going to be white, blue, and red. So I have my white, and my blue will go on this side, and then my red, whoop, and then my red over here. Alright. And you know, if you make a mistake, you can always just pull it apart again. Okay. And so you'll see that this enormous pile of parts that we started with is really shrunk down quite a bit. Okay, one more set of corners to make, and those are the top corners, keeping in mind that we're using a solid yellow, and then we just have to have an orange circle. So this is the yellow here, the orange circle, and then the green on this side. Okay, and that's how you make the corners. The top one, so two circles and a solid. Alright, so I have all my corners, I have all my edges, everything's ready to go. Okay. So we said that the fixed face, the fixed center on the bottom is white, so let's go ahead and start making that. And then because all the rest of them are the same, it doesn't really matter where we start here. Now, so what we're going to need then for these faces are the appropriate center pieces and corner pieces. So it's just probably handy just to lay them out at this point in color, kind of group them by color, make the assembly easier. Now we won't need the yellow ones, so we can just put them over in this pile. We'll need all the other ones. And then these little corner pieces, you can just kind of put them out in there. We don't need the yellow ones. Let's see, if I can find them all, I'll take them away. There we go. Alright. So, you know, it's just helpful if you kind of have these little corner pieces pointing towards you. Because they're small, and as you're assembling the puzzle, it'll be easier just to be able to see them, to grab them, especially at the beginning here. Okay. So we wanted to start then with the white, and I guess it was going to be, well, white and red. All right, we'll start with the white and red. So you get your white center here. You put that in. Sort of stack them together and just slide that in. Okay. And then you can take the red center and slide it under. Okay, there we go. So that's the first little part here. So it's helpful to have a cube to refer to. And so then the next one is going to be blue. I'll grab the white and blue here. Okay. Alright, so that's not so bad there. Now, you know, if you can tighten them up a little bit if you want, if you're having trouble getting it to all kind of hang in there. I think it's alright. So now I'd like to get the red and the blue, the white, red, white, blue corner. There it is right there. And what I'll do is just kind of put this in here. Now this piece is you can't put it in after you've put the corner in. Oops. So you sort of have to kind of drop it in there at the beginning. That's just the bottom part. You can leave the side one off and do that later. So there you go. So the next one is going to be white and orange. So there you go, white and orange. We'll get the white piece here. So I'm just holding everything together over on this side, and with all three of my hands here. Okay, and now I need the blue and orange white corner. Put the white little circle corner in there and just pop it in. Okay, and now at this point I can just kind of turn it over and it should start staying in place. Next is the orange, white, and green. Okay, and now I have my white and green center there. There we go. And then over here it's going to be the white, not the center of the corner, the white, green, and red corner. And if you notice, if any of them are messed up and you don't seem to be able to fit, you just unsnap them and put them in the right order. Sometimes they can be, if you put them together wrong. I did that accidentally. Okay, so now that's the bottom, and that was really the hardest part. So now I can tip it over, and now everything should be pretty solid. So before I forget, I'm just going to go around and put these little circles in their proper spots here, so they don't fall out, or so we don't forget them, because they're really hard to put in once you start putting the edges in. Okay, so this big traumatic assembly process is you really only do this once, and from here on in, you probably most of the time you're just changing a face or two, not really changing the whole thing around like this. So it's well worth it. Okay, so now everything else should be pretty straightforward. We have the green orange edge here, green orange. Get it correct, and now we can put both of them in at the same time and just kind of slide that down. There you go. And then we have the orange blue edge. The blue, got the orange. Yep. And now we get the red blue edge. Now, at this point, if you felt that it might need some lube, this would probably be the right a place to put some lube. Maybe put a little bit there, and then on the edge. But I'm just going to put it together without any lube for now. And if I do feel that it needs some, I'll just basically take a couple pieces out and just do that. I don't want this puzzle too goopy. Okay, we have all of the parts now for the bottom two layers, and it's just time to finish off the top layer here, which includes the solid two-face. So just looking for some edges here, and in this case there's only one circle part, and in we go like that. Now it's a little more challenging to put the corners in. You need to put these circle pieces in first before you put the corners in. Yellow, red, green. Alright, there we go. Yellow, red, green. So I already put that one in, and so now it's able to go, and then immediately I'm going to put this side one in. Otherwise, if I forget it, I have to take a bunch of pieces out. Not fun. Okay, just kind of wedge it in there. Now I'm looking for green and yellow edge. There it is. I need my centerpiece. Okay. And again, I'll put the green with the green circle corner in. And now I'm looking for green, orange, yellow. There we are. Put the orange circle corner in. Okay. Whoop. Okay, and then we do that, and now, you know, if you want to very gently turn the top a little bit to get this in, you can do that, but really this should just snap right in because everything's still fairly loose. Okay, so there we go, assembled. Now, just before we tighten everything up, let's double check. We want to make sure that this turns, and indeed it turns. We want to make sure that the white face is a zero face, meaning that the center stays still when we turn the outer edges, and indeed that's correct. And we want to make sure the remaining four faces are one faces, that is, that they turn when we turn the outer layer. Okay, this would be a good time to fix that if we got it wrong, and so far it's fine. So now I'm just going to go ahead and put the I'm going to tighten everything up here. This one can be tightened down quite tightly, as can this one. Now remember, this is still breaking in, so maybe just don't tighten it down as much as you would normally do. And then these ones, they don't have to be too tight, but you don't want anything to pop. So basically, as long as they can turn, should be okay. Okay, and we see that that's I think that's probably tight. You don't want to over tighten that, because there you go. Alright, I think we got it. And now, because there are two different sticker sets being used, we probably need to figure out which one is the closest match. I guess in this case it doesn't really matter. And let's see which ones. That's a darker green. I think that's the one that we used. I think the orange is pretty close. yeah, yeah, I think it's probably this other, whoop, probably this one. Okay. And then the blues seem to be pretty close. Yeah, so the advantage of using having one sticker set would be that this doesn't happen. Either center would work, and in fact you wouldn't have to use the second set of centers anyway. And finally the whites, and I don't think there's any big difference. Actually there is. It's a little bit off-white. Okay, so that's the Crazy2face Jupiter, and we are ready to play. Okay, now if there's any, it's a brand new puzzle, so it'll take a little bit of breaking in. Perfectly fine to put some lube in there if you want. But after you've been playing with it for a while, it just becomes very, very smooth. Okay, so now this, you'll notice here that the outer ring turns and this one doesn't, right? But if we move this, now we can move that outer ring. Kind of cool, huh? Another cool thing is this one. Let's see now. And of course then that's changes that into a fixed face. So that's what you get. Alright, so I think at this point I would probably just put a little bit of lube in here. I think I'll just take one of the pieces out and just put a little bit of lube in there just to help things along. And then I will be ready to play. So that's it. Now as for all the rest of the pieces, there's your the remaining pieces. Alright, well I'll have to find myself a little baggie for all the rest of this stuff, but so that's it for my Crazy2face kit made out of the new Crazy 3x3 plus 2 circle and 4 circle cubes. I have one complete puzzle here and all the parts I would ever need to make every possible configuration of the basic Crazy2face puzzles. There's one little thing that I like to do when I finish setting one of these puzzles up. This one is set up for Neptune, and I've written just a little N on the bottom. It may seem pretty obvious now, but if you put the puzzle aside for any length of time, it's pretty easy to forget what it is. And so I'm going to put a J for Jupiter on the bottom, and there we go. So now I know if I'm looking at this in the future that it's set up for Jupiter. Now I hope that this tutorial's been useful to you. If maybe it's convinced you to get the kit from Burgo instead of trying to make your own. But one way or the other, I would encourage you to try the Crazy2face puzzles. They really are a lot of fun. They add a lot of value to the Crazy 3x3 puzzle. And certainly I'll see you online on the Twisty Puzzle forums in the solving section if you do choose to do these. And if you have any comments or questions on this video, on this tutorial, please feel free to leave them. And yeah, well, that's it for me. Thanks for watching.